Kia ora, Lynda. Can you tell me what first drew you to making art and how your practice has evolved since then?
Oh, hi, Izzy. Yep, I can say that one of the first media that I used was gouache as a little kid, and I had a little paint box, and I really adored using that. I think when I look back through art school even, I was always drawn to other artists' work, and I really loved what a lot of people did. I particularly loved Matisse, and I copied a lot of his works. In fact, when I left one of the places that I lived in, I left one in the shed, and this gentleman asked me if they could have my artwork, and I didn't. I said, "This is Matisse, not myself." But yeah, I've got, and then I've sort of experimented with different ways of operating. For example, Richard Debencorn, Howard Hodgkin, and a lot of the pop artists like Bridget Riley and that sort of thing. So over a period of years, I realised now that I actually really enjoyed using other people's works, but I started changing just using their works to incorporating it with other works. So I have a giant artwork somewhere with embroideries of Joan of Arc just outlined over the top of some Bridget Riley yellow spots. And so I started doing that kind of thing, and then I would use as a background a pop artist for some other embroidery work like Alice in Wonderland or something like that from those images. So yeah, that's the way it's gone.
Can you walk us through your process in your studio? What does a typical day of art making look like for you?
Right, well, the first thing will be to cut a large piece of watercolour paper. I only use Fabriano because it's the only vegan paper that there is. Other papers they use animal products to size the tops of the paper with. And on that vegan note as well, there's some colours that use ox gall, and so I always make sure that I don't use those. Some blacks, a couple of greens as well, being fairly vegan, trying to be vegan. I cut a piece up into usually 4 pieces, so I have just a fairly small piece. Some of the works in the show are a larger, which is half a sheet, but mostly they are the smaller size, just 1/4 of a sheet. And then once I've done that, I then will put it down to one side, and I'll just look through my the works that I have that I really like online. I'm sort of thinking already. I think I'm thinking already about a possibility of something that I could at least include, at least one thing. And so then I might draw that just very briefly. I don't use the paper that I'm going to draw on initially. I'll use a piece of paper and I'll just scribble the kind of an outline of whatever it is. And then I'll see how that would fit with other aspects. It's very intuitive in some ways when I look at what I might put in a piece. So quite often I'm a bit of a cheat in that I'll put a poster, so-called poster, of an artwork, but it actually is somebody's work. So it might be, say, Howard Hodgkin, whom I mentioned earlier. Some of his works are just so fantastic. He uses oil paints, but he also does print making. And so, so I've got this, maybe it's a vase, say, and then I'll think, I'll look at all my photos that I've taken of flowers and things in the past, or particularly this guy Doofy. He has really interesting arrangements of his works, and I'm not sure if there's any of his flowers in the show, but so I'll look at something and I'll decide whether I feel like something that's quite pristine or something that's quite abstract, and then I'll put those, just a scribble of what they are going to be, with the vase. And then, my composition, then I might put a poster on the wall and an interior pretty much with some bowl of fruit. So the traditional still life would start to just develop, and then after that I'll decide about, and I might not put it all in one place at once. I might change after a while what I'm going to do. So it's quite, it's a movable feast, really. And then I like to use one of my chairs a lot because it's got such beautiful curves, and a lamp, which I also like, they're both modernist. And I've used a Japanese stool that I have, which is the butterfly stool, which is really fantastic for using. These are all the items that I just ink the shadows of around. So they're the movable feast that have come into the painting. And I guess the composition just develops itself, really, and I think you kind of have an idea of how a composition should really look. I remember talking to an artist about some of the work that I'd done, and it was pointed out to me that the works, I had this little gap between two objects that were in the painting, and I was told that really I should either overlap them or have them further apart, but I don't actually take much notice of that. So, I sort of go my own way, I think that's pretty much what so then of course I have to choose the colours of the objects are exactly right, as much as I can. I love mixing colours as well, and sometimes, and I love Matisse using direct colour, so I do that often. So I have a mix of those things going on, and then I just take a photo, go and have a cup of tea, maybe do something else, and then look at the photo afterwards, because I like to have that abstraction, that stepping away, and then I'll think to myself, oh, that doesn't look so good there, and I'll put something else there, take another photo, might even be over a period of days, and then finally I have the whole thing done. Yep, that's about it, really.
So you have an exhibition coming up at the Aigantighe Art Gallery, Portal's Pastiche. Who is this exhibition for, in your words, would you say?
I'm hoping that it's for everybody. I'm hoping that people will bring to it. I think I've sort of become a bit redundant in the way that I've used so many other elements that are not me. Even the objects that intrude on the work are not mine. They are also designed by somebody. So it's not really original in so many ways, but the pulling together of it is kind of the originality. But I don't want people to see that. I just want them to see for themselves what they like. And so far I've found that people who have my work really are drawn to it for particular reasons of their own, and they're all different kinds of people. So I think I'm hoping that it's for everyone.
For you, what has been the biggest challenge, you would say, throughout your sort of artistic practice?
I guess for a long time I worried about having an originality. I think, not now, but for quite a while I was thinking that I didn't have the ability to be original. But now I think I don't need to be original. I can utilise these things and create new texts that create something completely different. And so that's now what I feel very comfortable with.
Kia ora. Thank you for sharing sort of about your practice and about your work in the upcoming exhibition, Portal's Pastiche, and we look forward to seeing lots of people at the exhibition.
Kia ora. Thank you, Izzy. So come along to my exhibition, Portal Pastiche, which opens on the 15th of November and closes on the 7th of December. You're all welcome.